Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. I'm going to show some love to the rhythm section today. We got the one and only Tom Brechtlein live with us. If you don't know Tom, he's a very well-respected and well-known session drummer, been around the game for a long time. He's had a great career we'll talk about. I want to say a quick shout-out and thank you to our mutual friend, Doug Bossy. Doug from Dreamland Studio up in Nashville.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
Yeah, Doug's a great guy. I got a wing here named after Doug. He's referred so many people to the show.
The Doug Bossy.
The Bossy Wing, yes.
Yeah.
So Tom Brechtlein, Cliff Notes. For close to 5 decades, Tom's been an in-demand session drummer who's worked with some of the most demanding artists of this era. Artists like Chick Corea, the Manhattan Transfer, Wayne Shorter, Joe Farrell, Luc Ponty, Kenny Loggins, Christopher Cross, Eric Johnson, and actually a number of former guests we've had here on the show, including guitarist Mike Miller. Mike, one of the amazing. If you don't know Mike Miller, please check out his music. He's phenomenal. Al DiMeola, of course, David Grissom, Greg Koch, and Robben Ford. And Tom was a member. Tom was actually a member of Robben Ford and the Blue Line. He's also done a lot of work. At least it said this on All Music for a guitarist I'd love to connect with. Robbie Kreiger.
Yeah.
Was that correct? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. With Robbie, it was through actually. 2 mutual friends. Larry Klein is a great tenor player. Plays all the woodwinds. He's a great musician. We played a lot together back in Los Angeles. And Arthur Barrow, who used to play with, Walt Fowler. And they used to play with Frank Zappa.
Okay.
We'd have these jam sessions. And one time Robbie came down and it was just impromptu. We did some recording sessions at Arthur's studio, and that's how I got to meet Robbie. And then he put this jazz kitchen thing together, and we played a couple of gigs at the Iridium.
Yeah.
And then I had to go on the road with other things, and so.
Yeah. I got to see him down here. This was really random. I just saw like a little ad on Facebook or something. It's 10 years ago. I click on it. And it's like, Robbie Kreiger's coming to town. I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, I hope I can get tickets. So I click on it, and it must have been like the first day they were selling tickets. I wound up getting 2 tickets for one for my son and my older son. And I saw him for $20 each. I sat literally second row center seat. I was like,
in Florida?
Yeah, it was right. It was out in St. Pete. Yeah, it was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And I'm with my son who's, 33 now, but I guess he was like 23. I said, listen, you're seeing a guy who changed rock and roll. Any music you listen to today evolved one of the reasons because of this guy. So what a phenomenal player.
There's a funny story about Robbie, and it was like, after I was on the 2020 Eric Johnson tour, and then they shut us down March 13th. Of course, they pretty much sent everybody home. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks into the pandemic, and I remember I was barbecuing outside. My wife and I were going to have some dinner. And the phone rings, and he goes, "Hey, Tom, it's Robbie Kreiger. How are you?" I said, "How you doing, Robbie?" He goes, "I owe you money for a recording you did." I said, "You do?" I said, and I kept on going, "Are you sure?" And I'm thinking in my head, I said, "You idiot, what are you doing refusing money at this point in time?" But I wanted to keep it on the up and up, because I thought, really? He said like 3 or 4 tunes on this record that's coming out. And sure enough, yeah. So there you go. I got paid.
What an honorable guy.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, that's very cool, man.
That's how cool Robbie Kreiger is,
Well, hey,
very
let's get into this. How'd you get into playing drums in the first place, and how did you develop your skills? Like, were you self-taught? Did you take lessons, or a little bit of both?
I had 2 older sisters, and the oldest sister had, she's the one that had the record player in the house. There's only one record player. One of those stories.
Yeah, of course, man.
And it was upstairs, and she'd buy all the cool records, like Elvis and the Temptations, the Four Tops, or whatever. New York, it used to be, I don't know how old you are, but it used to have like Murray Decay and the Swingin' Soiree, WINS, which is now a news channel.
Right.
And WABC, The Good Guys with Scott Muni and Cousin Brucey. And
yeah, of course.
AM radio was pretty eclectic back then. It was really great. You had really corny stuff. but you had really great stuff, and it was just so. She bought all those records, and I listened either by down, near the steps, going upstairs to her room, or I'd sneak in her room and play her records, So it was all like, Marvin Gaye, Elvis, old Elvis, and then she got new Elvis because, she was a teenager, So as far as I can remember, and, she'd buy James Brown stuff, and then next thing you know, in 1963, I wanted to be a guitar.
Guys, today's episode is brought to you by Lewitt Microphones. For a limited time, Lewitt is giving Everyone Loves Guitar listeners 20% off any microphone in their catalog, including their top-end mics. Now, I've been testing this cool-looking Lewitt LCT 440 Pure for the last few months, and it's outstanding. And if you go to everyonelovesguitar.com/Lewitt, you can see my review of this microphone, as well as some other professional recording artists' reviews of two of Lewitt's most popular microphones, as well as get your 20% discount code. The mics come with a 30-day guarantee and a 1-year warranty, so there's absolutely no risk involved here. Just go to everyonelovesguitar.com/Lewitt, Lewitt, to get your discount code and to check out some short videos with in-depth information to see what recording and performing with Lewitt mics is like.
Guitar player. I was 4 years old, 5 years old. I had a little guitar, and then I heard the Beatles. And I went, holy Christmas. I heard I Want to Hold Your Hand when it was released, which is the first single that was released. First official single that was released in the United States. I know there are arguments about, She Loves You, which was released, these other things. But the first one on Capitol was I Want to Hold Your Hand. And when I heard that chorus, I went, holy crap, And then, I can't remember a time where I didn't want to play music. But then also at the Memorial Day parades, the marching bands would come by.
God, what a flashback just hearing you say that. Memorial Day. I haven't heard that in ages.
All the marching bands with the brass and the drum, the drum corps weren't like they were today. But still, the colors and the sound, And for a little kid, you hear that sound maybe not for the first time, but and you're there, and it's like, here's the street, here you are on the side of the street, and it's right in front of you, and you go, holy Christmas, this is cool. And you see these guys, and I don't even think I think they were just getting high steppers in. For those of you who don't know who high steppers are instead of the drum used to be like this, and you used to wear a strap. High steppers, you'd have like a little contraption here and hold the drum up in front of you so you could play it like that. And I'm going, holy smokes, this is cool. And I didn't know why. And then with the Beatles, I'd start building drum sets out of cardboard and tracing paper, boxes and stuff, and play on the bed. My dad was an artist, so he had pastels, and I used to use his pastel.
Like that's what he did for a living, or that was a hobby?
No, that's what he did for a living.
Really? What did
he worked for a textile company called Fay Incorporated, and he drew designs. He had designs for ties and shirts, but he was also a great artist. When Disney was getting his cartoon, expanding his cartooning staff, my dad got called for that. But he turned it down because he was just starting a family. This was in the mid-50s.
Right.
And he didn't want to leave Long Island, He's from Far Rockaway. He was from Far Rockaway. So he got the gig in Jersey, doing textiles and stuff like that. And apparently he contributed to the 007 logo, too. I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what I was told, but he didn't get credit for it. I don't know. This is just hearsay from my family.
Did that experience prepare you for your career in music? Doing things without getting credit for it?
Could be. He also designed a hat which he got ripped off for too. But he was a great artist, and he used to. So in the bedroom, my mom's bed, and then the chest of drawers up there, chest of drawers. When you're a kid, you call it chest of drawers, And there'd be an easel on the side, with the lamp, I don't know what you call it, like what architects use, And then there'd be all the measuring tools and the tracing paper, and he'd do his designs and also do his other art there. And so I used to, and he had a little leather box with all his pastels and his compasses and all kinds of stuff. And so I would take the pastels and take some of the tracing paper and put them over a box because it would sound like a snare drum.
Oh, yeah.
It was 4 or 5. I mean, I built guitars out of oak tag.
Oh, my God.
The fronts and the backs and the sides, but the strings, and my dad helped me out with the designs. I did an ES-335. I did a Paul McCartney violin bass. But they're all cardboard, and so I was all in.
That's a word from the past. Oak tag. If I asked any of my kids if they know what oak tag,
I didn't even know it was obsolete. But anyway,
yeah.
But then what I used to do, because I'm left-handed, I used to go upstairs and I used to take an old lampshade thing because it had a screw on the top. Watching Ringo, and then I put a big circle of oak tag in there with a hole in the middle, and I put it on the top of the lampshade, and it would tilt a little bit. I'd tilt it, and then I'd get 2 sticks and play on the bed like I was playing drums, And I just remembered this. I hadn't talked about this in such a long time, I don't think I've ever talked about this. Anyway, and from there, it led on to, I guess when I was... I mean, this sounds like so cliche. When I was 10 years old, I got my first snare drum. An E.W. Kent single tension. For the guitar players out there, I don't know if they know what that means, but drummers will know. E.W. Kent chrome single tension snare drum. And then the next Christmas... When I was 11, I got a ride cymbal with a stand. And then the next Christmas was the big Christmas. I got a bass drum with a tom-tom.
All right.
And those real cheapo pedals that said, but prior to that, let's go back a little bit to answer your question. With all the marching bands that got me excited all about that. And then with the Beatles and everything else. So as you know, when you get to I remember the day I was either 8 or 9. I can't remember. I can remember because I'm saying 8 or 9. I looked at my mom because my dad. That sounds like an old blues thing, and I'm talking too much here. But my dad died when I was 10.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
Oh, that's heavy, man.
But I knew him. But between 8 and 9, he was always going in and out of the hospital. So my mom was very supportive. And she said, and I said to her, because as you know, in the 4th grade, that's when you start doing the band program. Like when you're about 8 or 9.
Yeah.
The group lessons and all that within the elementary schools. So I looked at my mom and I said, I need to know how to read music. I don't know where that came from. Or I need to know how to read rhythms. I need to know how to read. I'm like, what? So I enrolled in the music program at it was called Meadowlawn Elementary School then, but now it's called McVeigh.
What town was this? This is in Hauppauge?
East Meadow.
Oh, East Meadow.
East
Okay.
Meadow. The town of Hempstead. In Nassau County, Mid-Island, South Shore. And from there, I kept on listening to records, and I got, it was a great. They had the East Meadow School District, even around the Nassau and Suffolk County school districts, had incredible music program from the elementary school all the way up to the high school, and I can't tell you. I mean, so then you go to junior high. After taking lessons, you're in the band program. You go to junior high. And then I was forced to take private lessons. I didn't want to take private lessons because I thought it was snobby. I wanted to play with all the other guys. And this is a guy named Kenny Seppi. He'd come in and we'd have the group lessons, and he was a trumpet player. But, band records, they teach everything. So he also played he also played shows in Manhattan. He was a professional musician.
Okay.
And after he was kind of a very soft, kind-hearted guy, but the exterior was kind of gruff. And everybody was kind of like, oh, my God, Mr. Seppi. He says, Brechtlein. Everybody left, and when everybody left, he goes, Brechtlein, you stay here. And I said, what? He says, you're sight reading that lesson, aren't you? I go, well, yeah. He goes, just as I thought. He says, you're taking private lessons. I go, no, I'm not. He goes, you're taking private lessons, you're not going to be in the band anymore. I said, okay.
Wow.
So he says,
wait. So you like penalized for working harder? What? I don't get that.
No. He wasn't penalizing me. He was just threatening me so I would take private lessons.
Okay.
And he said, and then if I finish the story, you'll see why. He goes, why don't you want to take private lessons? I go, because it's snobby. I want to be with the other guys. He goes, you can still be with the other guys. You're just a little bit ahead of those guys, Okay, here's this guy, John O'Reilly. Not John Riley, John O'Reilly. Great teacher. And this is how supportive Kenny Seppi was. Then he goes, after we, he gives me the number, and he says, you call this number and you take private lessons. It's going to be good for you. And he goes, now, come with me. He gets a pair of timpani sticks. Now I'm in the 7th grade. He gets a pair of timpani sticks, and he gets he gets this timpani book. And he goes, come with me. And then, we go onto the stage, and when they have they have that closet where they have all the percussion instruments and everything. And he goes, now you'd know this. He'd go to me, here, take these. And there were timpani mallets. He goes, play Saturday Night at the Movies. Do you remember? It goes, boom, 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 right?
Okay, I know that song, yeah.
So I did that. It's, that's all it would be, Back in the day when, I don't know if you were a kid, they used to have, like, movies like Monday night at the movies, Tuesday night at the movies, Wednesday night at the movies on public TV, not public broadcasting, but, network TV.
Yeah.
And one of them was just a timpani going like, dun, 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 So I did that. I did a roll, and he goes, good. He goes, here's a pitch pipe. Learn this, and you'll also be the 8th grade orchestra and the 8th grade band playing timpani.
Awesome.
Next week. So
Hey guys, this is a project I'm involved with, so if it sounds interesting to you, check it out. If you're a musician, composer, artist, or songwriter, and you've always thought about or wanted to get involved in the profitable world of music licensing, but you just don't know how to go about doing it, then listen up. A new video has just been released that shows you exactly what music licensing is, how to get involved with it, and how to make your first placement. Or if you've already made some placements, you'll also discover how to create a system that lets you make more placements more consistently. This free training video is called Where the Money's Hiding in the Music Business in 2023, and you can find it online at musicreboot.com. This video shows you how to create the financial stability you've always wanted and how to take advantage of the current explosion of opportunities in music licensing due to streaming and the internet. So check it out online now at musicreboot.com.
That's how cool he was. And then, now you have 3 years of that. Then you go to Eastwood High School, which Bill Katz ran. He recently passed away. He was amazing. They had 3 wind ensembles, 3 orchestras, 3 choirs. We started a percussion ensemble that year and 3 jazz ensembles.
All this in high school?
In public high school.
Wow.
And this is what phenomenal. Bill Katz built. And they had great teachers like this guy, Mike Carubia, Rodney Tibbetts, Paul Rosen. The orchestra teacher was great, but then Mrs. Mull took it over. Anyway, and we didn't play the high school curriculum. We played we played, New World Symphony and all this stuff, and not the watered down overture to West Side Story, but the real one.
Wow.
We were invited to Lincoln Center to play. I guess in the symposium, like a lot of high schools were playing, to play a piece from this guy Vaclav Nelibel.
Oh yeah.
And so I played timpani in that. It was a piece called Sine Nomine and all this stuff. And then we had the jazz ensemble, of which we didn't play high school curriculum. We played all the newest Thad Jones, Bell Lewis stuff, and on and on and on. Sammy Nestico charts, all this stuff. He'd have guys come in from the city, like David Berger, to rehearse us, and we'd all chip in on a fund and record a record every year.
Oh, that's amazing.
So and then Mike Carubia, who was there, started. We gave up our lunch. This is just my sophomore year. We had a improvisation class. We gave up our lunchtime and played standards. And a lot of great musicians came out of East Meadow High School. And
that's amazing. You got all that training in the public school system.
Yeah, and they also had music theory 1, theory 2, modern arranging, which was, that was probably like after school or something. And there was like an independent study program. So this thing really prepared you, for kind of the real world. You know? And you had to audition every year to keep your seat.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you could get challenged, too, later on. If somebody wanted to challenge you to take your seat, they could. So you had to keep your stuff up, man,
So it's really competitive, which is great.
Yeah,
it's like real-world situations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
That's
also
amazing.
nurturing, too. You could come into that office, that music office, anytime during the day with any kind of problem or anything, you needed to know. Tons of records all over the, really great records from jazz to R&B to whatever. And Bill Katz really, he just passed away this year. I think it was, just before. No, I think it might have been November. I'm not sure, of last year. I mean, just after Christmas. But anyway, he was incredible. He was really incredible. And he taught all the way up until he passed.
Oh, wow.
Not in the high school, though, but he taught privately. A lot of kids, bassoon. The former principal percussionist, principal bassoonist for the LA Symphony was one of Bill Katz's students. He was an East Meadow High School graduate.
Wow.
Among others. And, you had all county stage band and orchestra and band. And you had all state, which, you really had to know your stuff. It sounds all disciplined, but it was fun.
No, it sounds great. It sounds like a great opportunity for kids.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's the guy there, I can't remember his name. He's still keeping the fire burning there, keeping Bill Katz's legacy alive. Because after Bill retired, he definitely safe-pointed Nassau and Suffolk counties to make sure that the music education was, I guess the only thing I can say, was pure and challenging to this day. And you get great quality musicians. Even if you're not going to be a professional, you have that experience,
Yeah.
So I really was lucky. And because of that, I attribute to what I'm doing now. I don't know if those are the right words, but because of that, from elementary school, also the desire to be a really good musician, and be a musician, and then get nurtured from the elementary school all the way to the high school, I feel really fortunate. That really prepared me for a lot of things.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And this is great. It was really, really great.
It's a good story, man. Thank you.
So that pretty much is what inspired me to become a musician and play with other people, play with groups and whatnot. Plus, you had all the garage bands around town, you know.
And you were playing
all
in
the
those.
other bands. Well, not a lot, but then, and then you had Steven Scott orchestras, had the club date bands, You had, but hey, you learned from that too.
Yeah.
Then you had the top 40 bands, which I didn't play in, unfortunately. I wish I had. And people who just wanted to jam,
That's a robust education there from that little town.
And then there's Manhattan.
Right.
You zip on over there to Manhattan and check out your heroes.
Well, that's a good segue, because talking about heroes, you're 18 and you see Chick Corea and Return to Forever on PBS TV. Was that like Channel 13 out there as well?
Yeah, that was Channel 13.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you see Chick and Return to Forever, and I can't every time I see PBS now, it's this like big official thing. But I remember, back in the day, that was like Channel 13. It was the odd off.
That was
channel.
the place you go to see Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Right. Yeah. Weird stuff.
Some stuff that didn't hit the U.S. yet or something.
And you see it and you think to yourself, I'm going to play with this guy someday. So what about that experience like prompted that thought? How did you, and was it just a thought, or did you really believe in your soul, I'm going to play with that guy one day?
Oh yeah. It was a thought. It was a light thought. And it was also, yeah.
How did that come about? Like, what about that?
Well, I was doing a book report, and that was due the next day. And of course, you have the little synopsis, the summary. And I'm plagiarizing the summary on the book report because I didn't read the book. The one where you take all the big words and then you basically explain the definition of the big words in a lot of little words, so you don't sound too smart, And the Soundstage came on. PBS had this thing called Soundstage. And it had the Headhunters, Herbie Hancock with Mike Clark and Parker. Somebody's gonna kick my butt for not knowing his first name. Great bass player. Played with the Headhunters when Harvey Mason played on the first record. Anyway, Mike Clark was playing his ass off. He was, that Mike Clark from Oakland. If you're not familiar with the album Thrust, pick that album up.
By Herbie.
Yep. It's got Spank Lee, Palm Grease, and of course Actual Proof. And that's a landmark record. So, Chick had just come out with the second electric record called Where Have I Known You Before? And I just knew Chick from Light as a Feather. And that was sort of the acoustic, semi-acoustic electric. Well, the only thing that electric was the Fender Rhodes. That was with Stanley Clarke, Aito Moreira, Flor Purim, Chick, and Joe Farrell. And they did two records. The first record was called Return to Forever on ECM. The second was called Light as a Feather, which did two amazing records. So the first record, I know I'm backtracking it. The first electric record was Lenny White, Stanley, and Chick, and Bill Connors.
Right.
Called Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy. Well, the second one was Where Have I Known You Before, where Al DiMeola comes into the picture.
Right.
So, and I hadn't heard these two records yet. And it was 1970. Let's see, was I a sophomore? No, I was a senior. I was 75, so shame on me for not knowing about Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy. So, sooner, because that came out in 72. But Where Have I Known You Before? It just came out. And I think it was my buddy Steve Press loaned me the record. No, I borrowed that later on. And he's a great drummer too, from my high school. So anyway, first I was impressed with Lenny. The first thing I was impressed with Lenny White, the sound of the drums, the way he was playing. Because back then, the fusion thing was brand new. You know, it had been around for, well, never mind. I was going to say it had been around for a while, but it was brand new. You had Miles, and then Tony Williams, with the Tony Williams Lifetime, really started the ball rolling. And then, of course, John McLaughlin, the Mahavishnu Orchestra. And then both Return to Forever and the 11th House. Those, and then Weather Report, of course, you know. And then later on, like, George Duke, all these bands just happened like at the same time. Anyway, so I'm doing this book report, and I pop on Channel 13, you know, Soundstage, and they start playing Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy. You know, well, not Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy, the sequel to Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy, which is on Where If I Know You Before record, Beyond the Seventh Galaxy. And then they do Vulcan World, which is Stanley Clarke. And I had never seen a bass player play like that before. Nobody was playing like that. This is 1973, 74, you know, and it's like, this is like, these guys are from Mars, you know?
Right.
As was Herbie, which is a different side of funkiness with the Headhunters. So I got to see two innovative groups at that time. But anyway, Chick was playing his butt off. I mean, they were all killing. And then I said, boy, I want to play with that guy, you know? And then I watched the rest of it, and I was very excited about it. And I forgot what I had said. But I really did want. It wasn't like, I'm going to play with that guy. I'm going to do everything in my power to play with that guy, you know? It was basically just, I'm going to play with that guy. And then went on about my business and enjoyed the music. Then borrowed the record from my buddy and listened to it, and like, because I wanted to check out how Lenny White was playing. And then the floodgates just opened, you know. I mean, of course, I already had the Mahavishnu Orchestra with Billy Cobham, Birds of Fire, and Intermounting Flame. Then the next week, after having a rehearsal, okay, so I ended up playing with Chick 2 years later. But
talk about that, because you're 20 and you audition for him, and you worked with him through as recently as 2016. I have here, it says 15 world tours and 5 albums.
I worked with Chick from 78 to like around 82 to 82. No, 80. Excuse me. And possibly a little bit 82. And did 3 records with him.
Okay.
And then that's when they went over to the Electric Band. But I went looking for other stuff prior to that. And I ended up working with Joe Farrell and then Wayne Shorter. You know? But
how did you even hear about this audition?
Well, you know, I wanted to learn how to play trio jazz music, and I figured, it was just in my own mind, instead of taking lessons from a drummer, which in hindsight I probably should have to get more of the mechanics and the concept, but I figured I'd go the other way. I figured I would learn from a piano player.
Okay.
A piano trio. So I met Mike Garson. And we used to...
Mike Garson from Bowie's band.
Yeah. He's a great jazz player, you know. But he used to play in the city, like with Lee Konitz, Strikers, and whatever. So he was very helpful. He hit me, and I would ask him, I said, well, what do you want to hear in trio from a drummer? So we'd actually play duet. Not true. The lessons, I pay him for the lessons, and we play duet, and then he'd give me little critiques here and there about how it should be, and and there you go. Well, he was friends with Stanley, and he was also friends with Chick, and he was gonna go and record Stanley Clark's new record, which was Modern Man.
Great record.
So he went over there. He was living on Long Island. And prior to that, well, it was either after he came back or prior to that. No, prior to that. This is when synthesizers were becoming popular too. And, they were in their analog form. So he got a Korg. The old Korgs used to be like a strip. Even Chick had one. If you look at some of the earlier Return to Forever ones, he had a little Korg. And so after the lesson, he goes, Tommy, would you want to jam with me on this thing? So we started playing a la fusion, Latin fusion stuff, which I was very well versed in because I was, and rock and roll. So we started playing, and he's looking at me like this. He goes, I didn't know you played like that. And I went, well, I'm not here for that.
Right.
Quite, Long Island bumpkin, I'm a kid,
Yeah.
And I said, no, I love to play this stuff. And then we started jamming and making up these tunes. And we even played at Sonny's place on Long Island as a duo,
Just you and Mike.
And, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so we did a little boombox thing. He had a boombox, and we recorded some jams. And so I know this is a long story. You could probably edit this when we, because I ramble on, as you may have guessed. But so he goes and he does the record. He comes back, and he tells me, he says, Tommy, Chick's looking for a drummer. And I told him about you. So what you should do is put a demo together. So a buddy of mine, Peter Zinsmeister, he now goes by the name Peter Z. He's in Arizona, great keyboard player. We played together. We went to Franklin Square. And a shout out to Dave Brody, who's now in TV and radio, and who I still do a little bit of work for. He was the engineer. And we did a demo with Mike Faseglia and the guitar player. Oh, gosh, he's going to kill me. Anyway, so we did 2 tunes because we figured the 2 of us would get a band together and try and open up for some people at the Bottom Line or at my father's place. Not my father's place. It was called my father's place.
I know the club. The Bottom Line, the Bottom Line you're talking about is in the city.
And my father's place was the sister club. I think the same people owned.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
All I know, I just put 2 and 2 together.
Right.
I don't have facts. But anybody who's going to play, usually anybody who was going to play the Bottom Line, usually they ended up playing my father's place prior.
Okay.
And then they played the Bottom Line. So I get to see him 4 times, whoever was there. So, because, 2 shows a night, So we get the thing together, and that tape never made his office. What did make his office was the boombox jam.
Oh, with you and Mike.
And that's when I got called from Chick's office saying Chick's coming through town and he'd like to audition you. And they auditioned me at Mike's house. That's the first time I saw Chick play live, is when we played the audition together.
At Mike Garson's house.
That's right. And he had a Rhodes. And
now, was he living with his parents, or was he on his own at that point?
Mike?
Yeah.
No, he had his own place.
Okay.
With his wife. He was married, kids,
Oh, okay.
2 kids or 1, I can't remember. But So anyway, I was there for 6 hours. We did all the new stuff. Friends was still in the can. Mad Hatter just had a test pressing of which Mike got and let me listen to. And yeah, that was it. I thought we were going to do like nice because I knew all that stuff, and and so I figured, okay, what's he going to throw at me? So I auditioned with 3 bass players. The first one was Anthony Jackson.
Oh, wow.
The second one was Ken Smith. The third one was Rick Laird.
Okay.
And they were 2 hours apiece, so I was there for 6 hours.
Wow.
And the first thing I auditioned on was the one step, off the Friends record. Da da da, da da da. No, very simple. I'm ready to play all this stuff,
Right.
So he plays me a little bit of the group, without playing, like I said, the Friends record wasn't even mixed yet. It was just in the can, as we say back in the day, in the can.
Mm-hmm.
Used to put them in boxes or cans, tapes. And so we did that. And then the modal section of Cappuccino. I don't know if you're familiar with the Friends record.
No.
But the Friends, the Cappuccino, it goes, the head goes, anyway. So the middle part goes, bum, bum, whatever. But it's kind of like Elvin-esque. And it's got a solo, and Steve plays kind of a solo in there. And so that's the part he wanted to play on. So I'm there, and I haven't heard this music, and I'm going he goes, it's like Elvin and McCoy. And if you listen to any John Coltrane records, you know what I was talking about. You'll know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, listen to Love Supreme, listen to Crescent, listen to all those Impulse records. You'll be happy you did. But anyway, kind of a wide beat, McCoy and Elvin had this, and Jimmy Garrison had this thing. Anyway, so we play that, and then we play the vamp to Dear Alice, which just goes do 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 dee da da do 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 dee da boom 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 boom, like. Something like that. So, and then, and so we jammed on that. And then we did the tune where it goes, back to that. And so he did a solo off of that. We jammed on that. So anyway, we finished with all the 3 guys. And I'm going, I definitely sucked on this one. I said, I definitely don't have it. And then Chick said, great playing with you, Tommy. He says, I'll talk to you soon. So I held on to that. I went,
right.
He's going to talk to me soon. Because
Yeah.
I made a goal. Well, I'll finish the story, then I'll tell you what I was going to say. But so talk to you soon. So I held on to that. So about, must have been 2 weeks later, Chick is doing the historical or the hysterical Chick Corea Herbie Hancock duet concerts. And so I went from Nassau Community College and I figured Hofstra University to finish out my education.
That's such a stereotypical at that era thing to do. You know that, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I was with my mom. I was having this. I said, I don't want to go. I want to get out of here. I want to go to Manhattan. I want to starve. Right. I want to get a loft with the guys and play all night and start. Because at that time, you'd get a loft in the garment district and you put up the walls and you put the bathroom in and you could play all night. Invite friends over, have jam sessions, and then hopefully do gigs. We used to call that town. Like Jeff Hirschfield, this great drummer. He was one of the first of us that went into Manhattan. And we say, yeah, Jeff's moving into town. You know, he's in town, man. He made it, you know. Anyway, so I auditioned for him. And so 2 weeks later, I'm cutting class because, you know, for music education, you have to, of course, you have to learn a little bit of all the instruments. So I cut string class, and I cut the class, and I'm with my girlfriend. So my mother, plus I wanted to get out of the house, okay? She said, what? Well, there's a whole story with that, you know. So my mom calls my girlfriend's house. She goes, you better call Chick Corea's office right now because they got a seat for you at Carnegie Hall, and they want you to come over to Carnegie Hall.
Like, you know? Tonight? Like that night?
Yeah. Yes. So I call the office. He goes, yeah, you have a ticket for you. You're in the box seat. Chick wants to meet with you and blah, blah, blah. So I go, oh, my God. I don't know. I must have the gig. So I get in my 1968 Delta 88 with a rebuilt engine, a real boat.
Yeah,
they zip to Manhattan, you know, and they park at the Howard Johnson's, which is $10. No. I parked at this real cheap place,
Howard
$10. Yeah, well, you go to the Howard Johnson's.
I know they don't have, doesn't exist anymore.
And you'd park at the Howard Johnson's. No, the Holiday Inn. No, Holiday Inn. It was a Holiday Inn or something, and you could park there for $10 for the whole day.
Okay.
You know, so I get there, go down to Carnegie Hall, and I'm there, and I meet Rory Kaplan, who's the keyboard tech, and I meet Gail Moran, I meet Ron Moss, who's the manager, and they all say hello, and nobody's telling me anything. So nobody's telling me anything. And me and Rory were hitting it off. He's about my age, sitting in the box, and all my heroes are coming. Dave Liebman, McLaughlin showing up. All these guys, Larry Coryell, I think Larry Coryell was there.
They're showing up to the box, or they're at the show.
No, we go backstage, so
okay.
I can, after the gig, and all these people are there. You know, Herbie's there. I'm like, well, of course Herbie's there. He's playing with Tim, and they're both playing duets. And I'm like, to me, it's like, holy Christmas. It's like, I'm like on Mars, you know? So, I meet Chick. We hang out afterwards. Nobody's telling me anything. And I'm being very cordial, being funny, blah, 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 you know, small talk, yada, yada. And nobody's telling me anything. Ron Moss is laughing at me because whatever. So we hang out the next day. I'm hanging out with Chick and blah, blah. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody. I'm like, what the? You know, give me a break. At least tell me no.
Yeah, right.
You know,
right.
Just so I have an answer. So then I make the gig that night, and then there's an intermission. And somebody says, Chick wants to talk to me. So I go backstage. I go, well, maybe this is it. He goes, Tommy, can you go back to Long Island, get your drums, and come to this address after the show? And I went, what am I going to say, no?
Yeah, right.
I said, sure. So I get the Delta 88.
Yeah, that is a haul, man. Ugh.
No shit. And it's about 45 minutes to an hour. Which, you know, and I put the drums in the back of the car. Boom. And I go to this address, and it's January.
Oh, my God.
Freaking cold, man. I mean, it's ice on the streets, the whole deal. Get back there, go upstairs, set up the drums, and there's Jeff Berlin sitting there. So I'm auditioning with Jeff Berlin, and we played the same thing. Oh, yeah, we also played Sicily.
Where was this? Where was this place you had to go? Was it near Carnegie Hall, or was it like? No,
it was the Celebrity Center in Manhattan. It's a Scientology Church of Scientology Celebrity Center.
Okay,
very nice place. I don't know if it's there anymore, but I zip down there. And we play with Jeff. We play the coda of Sicily, which is that's the deal breaker, you know. it went, you know, da 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 da, right? Okay, so play that, blah blah blah. So he goes into the other parlor with Jeff to talk to Jeff, and I'm sitting there alone. I'm going, I definitely didn't get this gig. And Chick says to me, I'll call you at the end of the week.
Oh my God.
I'm like going, what the bleep?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you know, and I'm like, come on, you know? So now, still go to college. My sister, I think her husband was out of town or something. She's staying there. My other sister still, because, you know, we're all helping with the house. My mom's working. The sister's working. You know, I'm doing club dates or whatever, you know. So we're all there. So these are the days of the rotary phone. The little foyer, you know, you come in the house, and you to the left is this little landing with a little telephone stand, and then it goes upstairs to my sister's room. And, you know, you come in the door, you know, and there's a little foyer. Well, I think you call it a foyer. And then right there's the living room, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's the thing with not the squiggly one, but the regular, you know, straight one.
Okay.
You know, the telephone you can commit murder with.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like, you know.
Those things were heavy. You were 100% right.
They were heavy, yeah. You know, rotary phone. So it was February 10th. And I wake up in the morning and there's big snowdrift. And I know I'm going to get a call that day. So I tell my sisters, I said, look, you get a phone call, because we didn't have any other lines. There was no call waiting back then.
Sure.
There was no nothing. I said, you take a phone call, make it brief. I'm expecting a very important phone call. I have an answer machine that had radio registry back then, which was an answering service that you paid for. You know? And, you know, for musicians. And I said, so make it brief. A minute at the most, you know? So I go in, and the snow. So I'm shoveling snow, and it's snowing like a big dog. There's a big drift in front of the house. Stuff. I get it all shoveled, blah, blah, blah. I'm in the house. I'm sitting in the living room. I'm like, you know, spying that telephone, you know, and, you know, like, whatever. And it snows again. And it snows hard. And I got to shovel snow again. So I shovel snow again. It's not snow. It's the same thing with my sisters. You know, that's it. You know, you got the, whatever, you know, make it short. It snows again. You know, I'm shoveling snow. You know, no phone call yet. So anyway, so at 10 o'clock on February 10th, the phone rings. It's Chick. And he goes, Tommy, how you doing? I said, doing great, Chick. I
can barely stand up because I've shoveled snow all day.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, I'm doing great, man. How are you? He says, I'm doing fine. And I'm thinking, well, here it comes. He's going to say, well, better luck next time, buddy. He goes, so listen, I want you to come on the road with me. Can you do that? I said, sure. And they just kept it brief. He said, listen, the tour manager's going to call you up. He's going to tell you what you need to bring, blah, 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 what you need, and yada, yada, yada. And so he said, welcome aboard, man. And, oh, yeah, I want you to listen to a few records. I want to get some Tito Puente records. And I want you to listen to Love Supreme and Eddie Palmieri. And I said, sure. Okay. Well, I'll see you in March. I'll see you in Match, as he said, you know. Boston, and hung up the phone. But I remember my girlfriend and everybody was in the living room. And I'm in that little alcove, whatever you call it. And I screamed. I went, I got it! You know? Everybody's talking here. And I used to be arguing with my mom's the best. She was very supportive, very loving, you know. I wasn't a mama's boy. It's just like, basically, she was just really cool, you know?
Yeah.
You know, single parent. And so she comes up to me, and everybody else is talking. It was just this brief moment. It was just us in a bubble. And she whispers in my ear, she goes, now I know why. Like why you want to quit school and why you're living.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Yeah, very sweet moment.
Yeah.
So now I know why. That was it. And then she went, and,
Wow.
and I composed myself, and I went in the living room, and we all celebrated. And then in March, I was on a plane to L.A., which was another story. That was like Mars to me. And we started rehearsing.
That's so cool. What a good story, man.
That was my first major gig.
Was that the only time?
Yeah.
You mentioned Jeff Berlin. I had just had him on the show a couple of months ago. Was that the only time you've played with Jeff? Or
Oh, no, I played with Jeff Berlin at the guitar show in L.A., and we've played together a few times, but at that time he was living in Harlem.
Right.
And he asked me to take him home, and I drove him home.
And you're like, what's the fastest way to the highway from here when I drop you off?
Oh, man. And I remember it was, back then, it wasn't,
That was the 70s, man. It was not.
And I remember there was this ice with potholes in the ice on the street. And it was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, man. I dropped him off, and I got out of Dodge.
Yeah. That's so funny, man.
Good
story, dude. Thank you.
So, yeah.
Hey, so I'm going to mention some artists you've worked with and tell me how you wound up getting the gig with them and maybe a cool or interesting story about working together. Al DiMeola. It was interesting because I listened to the records that you played with him on. Those records were particularly melodic and quite beautiful music.
Yeah, that was kind of, we did that at Power Station, which is now the Berkeley studio. But I had just gotten off the road with Wayne Shorter. I just finished my stint with him. And my buddy Koch, and I knew Al from the Chick Corea, the first Chick Corea days, because we're very close in age.
Mm. And you're both from Long Island.
He's from Jersey.
Oh, he's from Jersey. Okay, right.
Yeah. So we talk a lot together, and we just had a lot. I mean, very friendly, and we were cool, So I called up Kay. I said, "Listen, if Val needs a drummer, basically just Val needs a drummer, let me know." Then the next thing I know, we're I don't know if the record came first or the tour came first, but we started kind of rehearsing in Jersey at his home. It was kind of like that, pretty much. Thanks to Kay Akagi, great piano player now. He's a professor of jazz. I don't know the university, but he also plays with his own trio in Tokyo and also in the States. And we've been pals. We played on Joe Farrell's band together, and he was the one that I was going to give up playing jazz, and he's the one that called me up. That's another story. That's how I got the Joe Farrell gig, because of Kay.
Let me interrupt you. One thing you just had me talking about keyboard players. Did you ever play with Mike Garson again?
No.
Interesting. No. Funny how like certain people come in your life. It's like for a purpose to take you to some other location.
Well,
that happens.
It's just, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's wild, but it's funny. If you make a decision, I believe, if you make a decision to do something, you go towards that path, and then things come in because it's your intention,
right,
to do it. Things come out from like here, I mean, it's the only way I can explain it, and purely because you keep that decision there of what you wanted to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I'll add one caveat to that from my own experience. As long as what you're doing fits into, this is another conversation, what the universe wants you to do, like what your natural organic path should be.
Well, the thing is like, it's not what the universe wants you to do. It's what you want to do to the universe. A lot of people have it crossways. You're responsible for whatever happens to you.
Correct. 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can't leave it up to somebody else. Otherwise, you might as well be dead already.
Right.
It's you that makes it happen without getting into like whatever.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, what I meant like that, but it's like, I think you have to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that's,
who knows what you're supposed to be doing?
Right.
I'm asking you a question. Who knows?
Well, I think if your intention, let me clarify that. I think if your intentions are in alignment with who you are, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, yeah, I get that. But,
like
for me, it's you know what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
Because everybody else is telling you you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that, or it's destiny. You know? I don't buy that. And that's just me.
Yeah. Totally cool. No, I think you are responsible for yourself.
And then you do whatever it takes. Sometimes you got to push a little bit more.
Right.
To do it without being obnoxious and getting in anybody's way. I mean, you know what I mean? Ethically.
Right. Yeah.
And not being a pain in the ass. That's the way I can put it. But, yeah, I mean, you put yourself on that path. Whatever your path is, I want to be a musician. And I don't know, maybe consciously or subconsciously, you put yourself in those situations.
I think what I was trying to say is I have found in my own experience, when I say I want to do something because I really mean something to me versus I want to do something because I don't know what else to do.
I get it.
The times where, or like someone told me about this, maybe I should check. I'm not really super interested, but maybe it'll be a fit. I think I think that the likelihood of your success increases with the likelihood of genuine passion that you have to accomplish that goal.
Yes.
That's
yeah, and the purpose.
Yes.
Like the purpose of playing music is not to become famous.
Bingo.
The purpose of music is first of all, you love to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And because you love to play it, you got to play with other people. And then you play with other people. And then it becomes you want to be successful at it without giving up the original purpose.
Yeah, the purity of it, the joy of what you're doing.
That outweighing that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
And then knowing that knowing all this other stuff, like you have to make a living, you have to you have to expand as a business. That's here. The purpose is here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's where it starts. If you go, I get what you're saying, but that's where it starts.
Yes, that's where it starts.
It. And the enjoyment of doing it.
Yeah, the joy.
Yeah, and then all that other stuff is a byproduct of that, and then you have to steer that as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, perfect. That's great.
So Al, sorry, I didn't mean to take that diversion.
Oh yeah, so then we started playing. Then we went on tour, and then we did the Tiramisu record, and I was on tour with him for 2 years.
You toured the world with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, matter of fact, I just did some recordings here at my studio last year. 2 tunes for him. Hopefully they'll get on the next record. He loved what we did.
Oh, that's cool.
It did a remote recorded, and hopefully that'll be on either the next record or some record in the future.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah.
I was lucky. I had him on the show during the pandemic, so he had a lot of time to talk. So it was great. He really opened up. He was relaxed, laid back.
Yeah, Al's a nice dude. Yeah. He's from the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's kind of
kind of from the neighborhood.
Kenny Loggins, how'd you get that gig?
Kenny Loggins, I was just coming off of. It was on the tail of. Working with Chick again around 2006. And I worked with Natalie Cole for a year.
Oh, wow.
And was doing that gig from 1999 to 2000. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
she was fantastic.
That's a totally different. How did that even come about?
How did I get that one? Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you. I was just sitting minding my own business. I was walking around. And I get a call. I get a call from Terry Trotter. And Terry Trotter's a great piano player. He's played with Larry Carlton. He's played with Natalie. He's played with everybody. He's amazing. I mean, he plays all the keyboards, but his thing is piano, his touch. Lots of people come to take lessons from him because he gets such a full sound out of the piano. And he's a great guy. Anyway, he calls me. He goes, "You need to come down here now at the Third Encore and audition for Natalie." I said, "I do?" He goes, "She's doing this 25th anniversary tour, and it's going to be everything from R&B to big bands to small jazz, whatever. And we haven't found a guy yet. And you need to come down here like now because I want Natalie to see you." And it was basically David Garfield and him who made the decision. I think David told to call me. And so I went down there.
This is in the city or this is in LA?
This is in LA. Okay. I lived in Burbank then.
Okay.
So I lived in Burbank. It was a short trek, Okay. Well, maybe I was in Tujunga. I don't remember. Anyway, that was the last place I lived before I moved here to Texas. But so, no, it was in Burbank. Yeah. So I went down. I got my stuff. And no, it was in Tujunga. Never mind. So I got my stuff, put it in the car, like you do, and waited outside. There were auditioning guys. I mean, usually guys could play the R&B great. They could play. I'm not blowing my own horn, but I wouldn't.
Dude, let me tell you, you are as diverse as they come. I mean, there's a few.
Well, thank you.
There's a small handful of guys like you that can drum the way you do on all these styles. It's not a lot of them. Yeah.
So anyway, I go down there and Natalie's there. And so we do This Will Be, then we do some, they had, again, Sammy Nestico charts and all these really great charts. And played some of those. And, well, I got that through CJ Powell. Oh, no. Anyway, no. We're going to Kenny Loggins. We're right now with Natalie Cole. So I play this, and then I'm waiting. And I had a gig that night. And so during the break on the gig, I get a call. I think we had cell phones then.
2006, yeah.
Yeah, 1999. 1999. I think we had the flip phones.
Yeah.
But so CJ calls me, and he says, "You got the gig. Rehearsals start in a couple of days." And we're at their Third Encore, which is in Burbank. And, and like that. So, we do that. We go on basically it was weekends at Caesar's Palace, where we did everything from the R&B stuff to her hits, to the big band stuff, to whatever. And it was great.
That's a good gig.
Man, first, she was great. She was like somebody I met in high school.
All right.
That's how Natalie was.
She's that easy going to talk to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was like, I remember one time we were just sitting after a gig in Japan, and I felt like I was talking to a high school buddy. It was really, it was cool. Great. That's how cool she was. And so, right. So I did that for a year. And Terry, great playing with, it was Terry Schroeder, David Garfield, Tom McMorrin, who did the string pads when we didn't have strings, Ray Fuller on guitar, Ernest Tibbs on bass, I think is that it? We had percussion playing? We didn't have percussion. But anyway, and then Dave Trigg would hire the horn section and stuff like that. And that was fun. That was a fun gig. A lot of fun people on that band. So then I go back with Chick. And towards the end of that run, I called up CJ Powell because I was just learned, who was the tour manager of Natalie. And then he left Natalie. Then he got the gig tour managing for Kenny Loggins.
Okay.
You just put your feelers out there like you do, It's like, just because that's what you do. That's part and parcel of being a working musician.
Yeah.
And keeping it going. So CJ calls me. He goes, well, there's a third sub spot for Kenny Loggins. So why don't you come on down and meet the guys and blah, blah, blah. So I meet Kenny, yada, yada, yada.
Did you audition at his house?
I didn't audition.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No. I know. I came down and I played, I think, at Third Encore when they were rehearsing.
Okay. Everybody I know who's gone to, I've had many people here play with Kenny. He invites them all to his house to audition.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he was rehearsing for a run. And we came down and we played. And we had a good time. So I didn't think anything of it. And so there was this gig in, I don't know, one of the resorts or something in on an island somewhere. I can't remember. Anyway. So no rehearsal. You get the ISOs, which are the isolation of the drummer and the live gigs. He recorded every night. So I shed that. And like you do when you're subbing, you play what the other guy plays because most likely that's what Kenny wanted him to play. So, and then I went down there and I pretty much nailed it. And I think I made one mistake, but I nailed everything else. And then I got called more. Then I got to the number 2 spot. And then by the end of 2006, 2007, the middle of 2007, that's when I got the number 1 spot. So I was the first call. So something to be, I think what happened was, I went down to do this, I remember. I was subbing, and I had Bell's palsy. I got Bell's palsy. So I'm like, I'm doing this.
How'd you
I
get?
don't know if you know what Bell's.
Yeah, it's like one side of your face is paralyzed.
Yeah, one side of my face. Yeah, but they said it'll go away within 2 to 3 weeks or something, or 6 weeks or something. So I'm like, And so I show up, and Kenny goes. It was funny. Kenny goes, we need something for the middle of Your Mama Don't Dance, Your Daddy Don't Rock and Roll. We don't want the regular rock shuffle. I want something else. So I figured, I'll give him a blues shuffle, a chew tobacco shuffle, I hope that's too loud. I hope that's done.
No, you're
But anyway,
fine.
So I did the chew tobacco shuffle, and he stops the band.
This is in rehearsal or this is in the gig?
This is on the sound check.
Oh, okay.
No rehearsals. Rehearsals with Kenny, but anyway. So he stops and he goes, there he is rewriting the book again. That is great. And I looked at Paul Peterson, who's playing bass at the time, and go, is he on acid? Because Kenny's very particular about things. He'll go like, no. Do this, do that, do this, do that, do this. Do it this way. But I just did it, and he loved it. And I think it was a couple of gigs later, he asked me, he says, listen, you want to do the 2007 run with me,
Right.
And I said, sure. And so then I ended up being first call for that. And Kenny's great to work with. He really is. He tinkers with everything. And as you may have heard the stories, he's very particular.
Yeah, very demanding.
But at one, but we got a rapport going, and he's got a loyalty to his players. I'm not being diplomatic. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
And it was a good run, and I had a great time, and I learned a lot. You know,
Like
I
what?
think it was hard. Well, you know, it's pop music in an orchestrated type vein. It's in my opinion. You know, of course, you get to play yourself, but there's specific things that he wants, and he'll change them every day. I don't know how he remembers everything, you know, but he'll change just little tiny nuances in the drums or whatever instrument from day to day. You know, I think that's the songwriter in him. You know,
Is that
because
common? Sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
Well, it can be. I mean, I played with Ricky Lee Jones for a year, and she changes stuff too. You know, she's a genius along with Kenny. You know, that was great. I really loved playing with Ricky. She was fantastic. She's a genius. She really is. She's quite a talent. You know, and I think most people would agree with me, as Kenny is as well. You know, I was in that way. I learned a lot about music from playing with those people. Actually, I learned a lot about music from playing with everybody I played with. But I'd say Chick, Wayne, Joe Farrell, Kenny, Ricky. I'll leave anybody out. I mean, those people, I really learned a lot, you know, just ways to play and ways, you know, conceptually more than technically, you know.
I want to ask you something. When you first connected with Kenny, with CJ Powell, he said, okay, you'll be the third sub. That's unusual.
Well, he didn't. It went down through the ranks. I mean, CJ was the one who hired the people.
Mm.
And then you were on the gig, and then he'd know, you know, Kenny would ask for whoever. You know, they'd be the main guy. I mean, I think at the time, Stevie D was playing drums. He was the first call guy.
Steve DeStanislaw. Yeah, I had him on. I know.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
A great drummer.
Yeah.
You know, and then I guess later on, I mean, he probably couldn't make some of the gigs, and then I started becoming the regular guy, you know. And Chris Rallis also was playing, you know, with Kenny. He'd play. And between Steve and Chris, they would play. And then finally I would start getting all the calls later on.
Okay, so it wasn't really like sub, or like he's a guy, and then if he goes down, it's you. It's kind of like a rotation that he had, that he maintained.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did he have that for every instrument?
Pretty much.
That's wow. So he's very methodical and wants to have everything. I mean, to have that many layers deep. Not many people like have that.
Yeah, he's a pretty interesting guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that together. And also I remember one time I saw him writing a song, but he was using Logic or Pro Tools. And it dawned on me, I was sitting next to him, and I said, man, you don't think of the song from beginning to end. You think of it like, there it is, don't you? I really got that when he was doing something. It wasn't like, let's see. He just thinks of it like, I had the whole thing, boom. Like it's almost like a stamp.
Yeah, like right. Yeah. Interesting.
You know, and then he'll start trimming whatever, you know, depending on what, you know. But he pretty much knows. That's what I got from him.
Yeah.
You know, I said.
So he's intellectually pretty hot. You know, he's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Without doubt. Yeah.
Talk about your gig. You were with Robben Ford for like 10 years, and then you with the Blue Line. Talk about how'd you connect with Robben?
Robben, I connected through Roscoe
Beck.
Yes.
Yeah.
And our first meeting was when I was subbing for Tommy Taylor on Christopher Cross's gig. And he saw me. He came down with Jennifer Warnes. And I had worked with Jennifer Warnes a little bit. And then, so anyway, we met, and then I worked with Jennifer, I think, and then we met there a little bit more. And then from working with Christopher Cross is, I know, I feel like I'm going all over the place here, but I'm not. Christopher Cross's tour manager at the time, James Wofford, they all lived in L.A. except for Tommy and Andy Solomon. And Richard Mullins, the famous engineer who was on that gig, and they weren't living in Los Angeles. Chet Himes was the engineer, front of house, and also engineered that record with all the top 10 hits on it. And they were all living, and Rob Muir, who contributed to the songs that were written as well. So anyway, James Wofford calls me up, and in his Texas accent goes, "Mr. Brechtlein." I said, "Yeah, James, how you doing?" He goes, "Can you help out a friend of mine?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "What's your friend's name?" Now, mind you, this is 83. Yeah, 83, I think. He said, "Can you help out a friend of mine?" Oh, no. Now it's 80. No, it's got to be 85, because then I was working with Wayne, I believe. So I said, "Can you help out a friend of mine?" And he says, "Well, what's your friend's name?" His name is Eric Johnson. And I said, "Oh, that's nice. What does he play?" He says he plays guitar, because Tones wasn't out yet,
right.
And so he goes, "Well, go down to this." I said, "Sure." I said, "Go down to this address, bring your drums." And I go down to this address. And there's Eric with the wall of amps, and in walks Roscoe. And we jammed, and we had a great time.
Right.
So Roscoe comes up to me, and he says, "Listen, I played this gig with Robben Ford at a place called At My Place in Santa Monica. It's before Robben was touring, and it's just before he got hooked up with Mons." And he says, Vinnie Colaiuta usually plays with us, but if he can't make it, would you be interested in doing it? I said, "Absolutely, I'd be interested in doing it." And so in a couple of days, Roscoe recommends me to this project that Kazu Matsui was doing. And it was this thing called Cosmos, which was three women Japanese piano players, one of them being Keiko Matsui, who's now the famous smooth jazz pianist. Quite a career she's carved out for herself. And three electric grand pianos on stage. Russell Ferrante's playing. Roscoe.
Because they need more keyboards.
Right. And Robben was playing guitar.
Right.
So we rehearsed at, I think it was Jenny Foodie Studios in North Hollywood. It was a recording studio. And so we started rehearsing. So Robben was playing. So we finished the rehearsal. And it was Roscoe that recommended me for the gig. So we finished the rehearsal. And Robben comes up and says the same thing. He goes, "Man, you sound great, man." He says, "Listen, Vinnie Colaiuta, we have these gigs at my place. When I'm in town, we do a weekend, if you're interested." Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I'm interested, yeah." So the next week, Vinnie can't make it. And I go. We had a great time. Played 2 shows, and then that kept on going. Vinnie can't make it. Vinnie can't make it. Vinnie can't make it. And so call me up, and people would sit in with us, like Michael McDonald, Sting sat in with us.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
This is all
great.
at that.
It was a week.
At that bar in San Diego?
At my place in Santa Monica.
Santa Monica, yeah.
11th Street off of Santa Monica Boulevard. 11th Street, Santa Monica Boulevard. It's no longer there. It was a cool place. Now it's called the Temple Bar. And anyway, it was a great place to play. Because, with Robben, we do 2 shows, get some dough from the door. I mean, get good payday, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Hey now.
Right. Hey now.
And then people come in. But an interesting thing about, after I jammed with Eric, and this is funny, Eric calls me and he goes, "Listen, can you make another jam?" And it was me and Kyle Brock who jammed together. So that I thought that was kind of cool, So maybe there was a chance. But then, of course, we all know Tommy Taylor, who was the right guy for the gig, started playing. They did tones, and we were off to do. It's funny, they started to do tones, and we were rehearsing at SIR with Robben to do our first little European tour.
Okay.
When it was still the Robben Ford band.
And it was you. Was it Roscoe and you?
It was me, Roscoe. Who was playing keyboards? Oh, Bill Bodlitz, who's on some of the Blue Line records, and a great organ player. And we're still friends to this day. Very good friends, very close friends. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and I've done 2 of his records. But we've done a lot of touring together. So that was me and Bob Malik, great tenor player who's played with Stevie Wonder and Stanley Clarke and the countless other people. Amazing tenor player. And so we did that. We called it the 5 Guys in a Van tour because that was the first venture, and that was a lot of fun. That was really, really a lot of fun. And then we eventually started in 1990 doing demos for what's now Robben Ford, the Blue Line, the first record, and I think 3 of those made the record, and the rest we did at Mad Hatter. Later on, we got the deal in, I don't know, 92, could have been 93, I don't know. It was released in 93. But, and that's when we became a band. And that's when we began on the road as trio. And
there you go. You finally got to do your trio thing.
Well, I remember we were doing this East Coast thing, and because of we make more money as a trio, Robben called me up. I was doing this gig in Florida, and I was really, the gig had great players, but it was like, I don't know, what am I doing playing this stuff?
What kind of music were you playing?
Those I'm not going to tell you because I'll get in trouble.
I'm going to write it down because I'll ask you afterwards.
Well, you can cut it out. out.
No. Tell me afterwards.
It was a smooth jazz gig.
Okay. Well, you can't get in trouble for saying that.
Yeah, I know. But everybody played great. It's not my thing. But I'm a hoe, so if I got hired to do a record,
I'm a hoe.
But yeah,
I'm a hoe.
Yeah. So, so what happened was, where am I now? I don't even know what we're talking about. Oh yeah,
Blue Line.
So Robben calls me up from Florida. I call back. I got on my answer machine. I call him up. He goes, I think I'm going to do this East Coast run trio. And I went, trio, huh? Really? He goes, yeah. I said, okay. So this is 89, 90 or something like that. So we do the gig, and I remember we did the first gig at the Iron Horse in Massachusetts. And everybody played great, but it was just too cluttered. And I remember as we were riding in the van, going to the next gigs. I'm still the new guy, so it's like both Robben and Roscoe goes, everybody played great, but there's just something wrong with it. And I immediately knew what was wrong. I said, okay, I'll say something. I said, guys, and they looked at me both and what? And I went, oh shit. I said, I think we should trust the space.
So you're all overplaying.
We don't have an organ, and so the tendency is to, you leave that space when the organ's there, but we got to trust the space. I go, oh God, I'm in for it now. I said it, and they looked at each other like this. They went, "You're right." And I went, I am? I said, and so the next night was killer. We trusted the space, and man,
that's cool,
just took one gig, and then everybody gelled. So we're standing there, and we had dates in Northern California after Christmas, So this is just before Christmas and the New Year and all that. And we're sitting on stage to say goodbye because me and Roscoe are living in Los Angeles. And Robben, I think, was still living in Manhattan. I think. for a minute. Yeah, I think he was still in Manhattan. But we're all standing there in our overcoats and our page boy caps and all that shit. And, he goes, and our manager, Dal Booth, who became our manager, he had to set shit up and break shit down. And Dal's the reason why one of the major reasons why the Blue Line existed. And we're standing there, and we're about to say goodbye, and Robin goes, "This is it." And Roscoe looking at each other go, "What do you mean this is it? Like, it's done?" He goes, "No, this is the band." And we all went, "Yeah, you're right, this is the band," Then we had to get a name. We weren't the Blue Line yet, That's another story. There's funny stories about the band names and stuff, which I'm sure every band has.
Let me ask something. Were you on that live record, the acoustic?
What?
The Blue Line. Robin played acoustically.
Are you talking about the bootleg record?
I think
anything that has Blue Line on it, that's me.
I'll tell you right now.
Does it look like a paper bag? It's called the official bootleg record.
I'll tell you right now. It is called Robben Ford, the Blue Line. Yes, the authorized bootleg.
Yeah, that's me. That was done at Yoshi's.
Yeah, I love that record. I just kept thinking I wish he had played electric on there.
Well, you can get the electric set at Yoshi's now.
Yes, I see. You know what? I see
Robben Ford Blue Line Live. It's
right,
a double
live
record set.
Yep, I see it right here. Yeah,
live at Yoshi's, you can get that,
and that was electric.
And that's electric.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go listen.
Plus a couple other added.
Yeah. Okay. I really like the record. I'm just saying, shit. I just wish it was electric.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, it was a great record. In general, I mean, for people listening, you really ought to check out those Robben Ford and the Blue Line albums. It's a great example of, I was telling Tom before we started recording, his drumming on there, it's so not what you typically hear for a blues drummer. And it was just really not to blow smoke, it was really special, the what you did on there, man. It really added a lot to that. It made it really cool.
Well, we experimented. Well, we did experiment a lot. We didn't really, but Robin encouraged to go paint outside the lines.
I mean, there's tracks where you got to play, basic blues, but by and large, it was you did a phenomenal job on those records, man. Really,
thank you very much.
I really enjoyed
we were a band. We were a real band. We weren't just sidemen playing for Robin. That's what I think made it really cool. The experience,
Yeah, you had skin in the game. You invested. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to Robin. That was Robin's doing. He wanted us to be a band.
That's really cool. That is cool.
And, in pretty much every way, even though, he was the final say on everything.
Well, it's got to be a leader in every band.
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody's got to have a leader.
Yeah.
Tom, what were some... Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let's say, what were some low points or dark periods you've had to deal with in life, and how'd you get through them?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I don't know if there are any low points. I mean, there's some low points. I think it was, a brief... I mean, I wasn't low about it. I'd just take action on it. Where it was... there was that one fall that everybody kind of wasn't working. I can't remember what year it was. It was in the early 2000s. But it was like basically 6 months of just like, what the heck is going on, But you take action. You don't, there's no time to be a victim,
What did you do?
I just kept on, you do something about it.
Like what? Like
I do.
Like you pick up the phone and just kept calling people that you knew, and
yeah.
Right.
You show up at places like you do.
Yeah.
And and the same thing when we the pandemic was a low point for everybody. But it was really funny how, I mean, I wasn't going to say I wasn't freaking out, but I was concerned. You know, when I got home after we all left on Eric's tour, we got back. I remember standing in the middle of the living room going, okay, well, what do I do now? Right? You know? Because nobody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much everybody had resigned to like, well, things are going to be closed for another 4 or 5 years, and we're not going to, you know. So I just went, well, I got the studio here, and I was starting to use like these video programs like Final Cut Pro and Mac iMovie for starters.
Sure.
You know, and so because of I was trying to do educational stuff to sell video wise, and I kind of abandoned it. And I went, well, you know, I've got one of those drum videos up. I mean, it's kind of not finished, but I'll put it up anyway. Everybody else is putting it up on Facebook. Worst that could happen is it could suck and nobody likes it.
Right.
So I put it out. I put it up there, and I didn't even put any advertisement on it, which I do now. Or did I? I don't know. I don't think I did. I think I said just to put messing around. And I got 3 things from it the next week. 3
people reached out to you and said, hey, I'd like to hire you.
I got this guy that wanted a recording and a video, of which I wasn't familiar with. A production company that called me that started out as 2 tunes that became 9 with video. And that's where I learned how to put it all together, at least my end.
Sure.
And then it just kind of went from there. So I went, well, I'll put another video out the next week. So I put another video out the next week. Same thing happened. Because I was always thinking, well, maybe people think I'm a big-headed you-know-what. You know, like I'm full of myself.
Oh, my God. Have you seen YouTube?
Tell me about it. No, so what I do now, then I got into because of the production company that showed me how to you slate things and you can put it, you know, together. I went, oh, my God. Graphics, you know? So this was sort of like, you know, now I had a toy to play with.
So you're putting B-roll in your videos too and stuff?
What's that?
Are you putting B-roll? B-roll is like, let's say we're talking now, when you're talking about a snowstorm. I was shoveling snow, and then it goes to a few second cut of somebody, you know, shoveling.
I don't have it on here.
Shoveling snow.
No, but what I have is no. I have a thing where it goes like I'm start playing and I fade in, and the graphics go Tom Brechtlein, another mess, or something like that, or some of the videos.
Right.
I asked some of the people, like I did these Funk Fridays for Paul Peterson, which you should check out. Everybody's playing them, you know. They're like a minute and a half little tunes. They're great. Check it out. It's called Funk Friday.
Where is it, on your Facebook or on your?
It's on my Facebook.
On your YouTube channel, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
it is. And you could also go to Paulie's Funk Friday Music on the Run. He's got some great great all-around musician. Paul played with the Family, played with Prince when he was young, and also played with Kenny Loggins, and you know, among others. You know, his brother Ricky Peterson is an incredible organ player. Billy's an incredible upright and electric bass player. Billy used to play with Steve Miller. Ricky is playing organ right now. He's out playing organ with Stevie Nicks. And he's also played with Dave Sanborn. I mean, he's won. They're all amazing. They're all the Peterson family. And then there's got 3 sisters that sing, and they're out of Minnesota. But you can check those Funk Fridays out. And then I do a little thing for advertisement where I do a before and after of some of the videos I've done. I did just a thing. I just did a remake of Who's Right, Who's Wrong with this producer Maurizio Matali, and Luis Conte's on it. I'm on it. Jerry Lopez, who's singing his ass off on it. I mean, and who else? You'd have to have the whole, everybody's played on it, and in the video and stuff, and it sounds great. Also I played with a project, the Homeboys, or called Homeboys, with Sandro Albert, the guitar player. It's about 7 videos of those.
Oh,
this is all during the pandemic.
So you did it. You cranked out a lot of stuff.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah.
Then I did a movie for Sean Penn called Flag Day. I did Q's. Joey Vitarelli, who's a composer, and also used to own Producers Workshop back in Los Angeles. During that whole time, I got a text in the morning. I'm not lying about it. I see the text. He goes, "Is this Tom Brechtlein?" Because I worked with Joey in the past in LA. I go, "Yeah, it is. If I don't owe you any money." And it's Joey, and he says, "Listen, Sean Penn's doing a movie. Do you want to do some movie cues?" And I went, "Absolutely." And he says, "We'll give you credit on the movie too." And true to his word, he did it.
That's cool.
So there's so many things you could do with this place. It's great. And then I post other stuff, and I do lessons here on Zoom and yada yada.
Do you keep doing? Have you kept it up with the videos?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah. They're all. I just did one the other day, and I did a compilation the other day on Facebook. Little snippets of.
So just check out Tom's videos on his YouTube channel, youtube.com @Tom Brechtlein, BRECHTLEIN. I like what you said earlier, though. You said there are no victims. That I resonate with that a lot, man. Give me your top.
I mean, there are victims, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, but a situation where business slows down. That's
Yeah, it's not that there are no victims. It's like when you start feeling sorry, it's the old adage: stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Right.
And I know it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, because you get put in dire circumstances sometimes. But
or somebody's, and
no, but the bottom line is when you get your head around and just say, "Hey, listen, I got to fix this."
Yeah, it's got to be fixed. I got to do it.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Right.
The way out is the way through this shit.
Right.
It's like, that's, at least that's the attitude you have to take.
No, I agree with you 100%. Yes.
And I think with musicians that become successful, they never give up.
You can't.
It's like you can't. And the pandemic is a perfect example. Boy, the musicians all over the world are and were totally resilient in handling the situation.
Yeah.
Each and every one of them. And I think every musician in the world, even if they should pat themselves on the back, give them a good pat on the back and validate yourself for not giving up. You know?
I agree with you. Hey, Tom, give me your top 3 Desert Island discs. No particular order, and just for this moment. Christmas. Yeah, I know. It's a tough one.
All right. Well, why not? Oh, I don't know. How about the Star Time box set? That's a record. That's a lot of records. James Brown.
Okay.
Oh, that's terrible. I could say Stax Vaults. That's a compilation too.
Yes, I know.
Ah.
And one more.
Can I have 5?
No, just 3.
Oh, jeez. Okay, the Miles Davis, John Coltrane sessions. The Columbia sessions.
Cool.
Just let you know, there's also Monk and all those other guys. And there's also John Tropez and stuff.
Hey.
Oh, gosh.
Just a few more questions. Tell me a change that you made or a specific experience you had that changed either how you look at life or how you look at yourself.
Well, I'd have to say becoming a Scientologist.
When did you do that?
That was in '77.
How has
totally?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying
No.
what changed? How did it change your outlook on life, or what was the big shift in like how you see things?
Well, it kind of explains how everything works. The mechanics of there's a physical universe out there, and in certain subjects about human behavior, not psychiatry. No, but stuff that can be applied by not putting a Band-Aid on it, but just coming better by just doing things. That's kind of in a nutshell. I mean, that's about it, because that opens everything up to controversy.
It sure does.
Debates, politics, which I'm not into. I ain't into politics, man. No, I'm just saying it works for me.
Yeah. That's cool.
How to control a situation, an emergency, how to help others. Really, how to help others.
How did you get hip? Was that through? It was way before you met Chick, right? Or was that around?
No, well, it was just before I met Chick, and I was, you have girl trouble, you have you have this and that, and then a buddy of mine, Bruce Corman, who's the fellow that actually got me. He was in Buffalo. He went to the university, and he got Scientology there. And I remember his mom. She's the cutest. I love his mom. He always says, "My mom loves you." She's a Jewish mom, It's like an Italian mom, It's the same thing. She was really worried about him going into Scientology. I didn't know about it either. I'm going, what is this? What is this?
Right.
This is, what? So my goal was to get him out. My goal for him. So he goes, Bruce was saying, well, he had problems, dating girls and whatever, whatever. Why don't you just check this lecture out? Well, I went to the lecture. And it was very nice. It was just explaining Dianetics and what Scientology was all about. And some of my high school friends were there, and all these people, and everybody was kind of asking questions, kind of trying to diffuse it. And I was already putting it together. I go, this is just me.
Yeah.
I go, geez, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I could use that. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I connected with it,
right.
For what you feel about it or what the media. Well, I don't even get to that. Who believes the media these days? It's like even back then. You believe everything you read in the newspapers.
Yeah.
But
you don't look, man. If it works for you, it works for you. That's all it matters.
Yeah,
you're not like I don't hear you running around trying to sign people up. Like, hey, go to my link. I mean,
yeah, right.
If it works for you, good for you, man.
Yeah, and it's just like it's really it's helped me a lot. And if anybody's thinking, well, that's how you got the gig with Chick, no, that's not the case. I went through a rigorous. If I wasn't the guy to play there, I wouldn't have gotten the gig. And also, the Dead Agent, that too. I wouldn't have got the gig with Wayne Shorter.
Right.
I wouldn't have gotten the gig with DiMeola. I would have got the gig with Kenny Loggins. I would have gotten the gig with Luc Ponty. Would have got the gig with Natalie, and on and on and on.
Sure.
I wouldn't be getting hired for this. I'm just saying it works for me. And it's a really cool thing. I was still shy with girls, but, hey, I met my wife, who's fantastic. And I've been married for 41 years.
Oh, dude, congratulations. That's a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Well, see, I was married in 82, so am I coming up on 40?
40. No, 40. It's coming up on 41 this year. Yeah.
41, yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did your
and
buddy stay in it? Did your buddy that you tried to get him out of it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, he did.
No.
That's so funny.
He remained. Of course he remained in it.
That's so funny, man.
Because I ended up hemming and hawing a little bit, and I went, okay. So I bought Dianetics and started reading it, and the next thing I was on a course. on a thing called the Success Through Communications course.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that's cool. Then I did the next one and the next one. And then I did some other stuff, some counseling that's available. And that opened up a lot of doors for me, you know. So I'm not snorting Drano in the streets. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course. But it's just really across the boards. It's I mean, they're tools to use. You go like that, okay, that's happening. So what do I do? If you apply it correctly, it's like, whoa, it works like a charm, you know? But it's got to be applied correctly.
Sure, sure.
But, you know, and there are courses and books on what to apply and how to apply it.
Right.
You know, it's basically, it's that. Knowing how to know. You know, that's all.
Thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of people may not, because it is kind of a controversial thing, but I'm happy it works for you, and I'm happy that you shared it.
You know, I mean, it's basically, if you don't know about something, you don't really know about something, you know, you're to a degree frightened of it. Well, some people are.
Sure.
Some people are curious. Some people are frightened.
Yeah.
You know, just like me, like arguing with you yesterday. I don't want to do this.
You weren't arguing. I didn't look at it as.
Hey, I know. I gotta install Chrome.
Yeah.
I don't know how to install Chrome. But then once I installed it and saw how easy it was, I went, okay, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can liken it to that, you know?
That's
pretty
interesting.
Much, you know?
Hey,
so
do you have any hobbies outside of music?
I got, I like to accents. I like to imitate accents and stuff like that. And some of my friends will tell you.
Really? So do some good accents.
Well, I got a Scottish accent. You can't like that. Well, you're looking at me, Jimmy. Billy Connolly is my hero.
Billy Connolly.
Comedian Billy Connolly.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, that's
great comedian.
Yes, he's great.
You know, and my wife is Malaysian and Scottish.
Wow, that's a unique combination.
She introduced me to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the Irish accent, you know, it's like you got, you know, Southern Ireland is a little softer. I'm working on it, you know, and then, you know, and then like I imitate this guy who. There are different dialects. There are different accents in Italy. Like, Tom, how do you like? I want to know how you like the best player. I go, well, I think he's okay. What do you think about him? I absolutely hate him. It's kind of a soft thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I fooled a couple of people in Britain.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Britain. My wife's from there, and I saw this video one time a few years back. There's like 11 or 12 different accents.
Oh yeah,
in England. Yeah, it's just and like you said, it's much softer in the southern part of the country. Well, not really softer, but it just gets a little more guttural the more up north you get.
You go to Newcastle, and it's almost like it's almost like Scottish, but it's not quite.
Yeah,
you know, the Geordie accent, you know, that thing, you know, and you know, like in Japan, when you say, you know, I like that drum, and they go, oh, Thomas-san, maybe you want a snappy stairs instead of snare drums, you know, that kind of thing. But this is from interacting with people, you know, and German, it's a German accent. Tommy, I don't think they'd have a word for this. You know, I said, one time we were on tour with and the guy who was the promoter, I said, hey man, how do you translate in German? You know what I'm saying, brother man? He goes, well, Tommy, I don't know if there's such a saying like that. You know, talks like that, you know? And then finally he came up with, verstehst du was ich sage?
And what does that mean?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, verstehst du was ich sage, Brudermann?
And that meant
brother man. You know what I'm saying, brother man?
That's so funny.
You know, so through these little comedy bits and stuff like that, you know. I also have an alter ego called Algorithm.
Algorithm.
but it's algorithm, and it's also on the YouTube channel. Just look up Tom Brechtlein algorithm. I did that during the pandemic too, and people, it gave a little bit of, it lightened up the situation for everybody.
A little bit of a chuckle.
It's about an umpa drummer who only knows how to play this. And he goes, "Oh, we have the Latin." They got the. I do one on John Coltrane. I do one on Giant Steps.
Uh-huh.
My buddy did a accordion patch for Giant Steps. And Giant Steps goes like this. And that's on the YouTube channel as well.
That's funny, man.
And some of the people who know me know about algorithm with his wife polyrhythm.
Polyrhythm, yes, of course.
And his father Gotno. You know, and so that was just a little thing that came to me. It only takes about a couple minutes to do, and I just thought of one this morning. I haven't done it, but I'm going to try it out and see if I get any action on that. That's funny, you know.
What is it? I mean, by the time this comes out, it'll be out already.
No, it won't, but because I don't know if I did it, because I got out of the shower and I thought about it and I started laughing. So I'll send it to you when it's done.
What's the biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years? And has that change been intentional or just a function of getting older?
No, it's pretty much stayed the same.
Okay.
I mean, if anything, you know, more of don't judge a book by its cover.
So more open-minded, maybe.
I wouldn't say open-minded, just be more observant of people. You know, when you see somebody and they look like they're mad, all you got to do is say hello, and then all of a sudden there's a smile on their face, and they turn out to be nice people.
Yeah.
But I'd say that would be the thing, you know, and but otherwise I'd be just pretty much the same. I mean, I'm not looking as like, oh, he's an asshole, he's a whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, or not prejudice or anything. It's just sort of like, you know, like, oh, I better not talk to that guy. He looks kind of mean. But if you make an effort to go, hi, how are you? Good morning. And then all of a sudden they look, all they want to be is communicated to. That's all.
Yeah.
You know? So there you have it.
And last question, what's the most important lesson life's taught you?
Let's say that again.
Most important lesson life has taught you.
What taught me?
Life.
Oh, gosh. Oh, that it's always in flux. And you can't regret yesterday. You know, pretty much. And you create your future.
Very cool. Hey, listen.
You know, there's another saying that L. Ron Hubbard says, you know, which is really cool. It goes, never regret yesterday because you create your own tomorrows.
You
know?
That is good.
And it's, never regret yesterday. Yeah. Because you create your own tomorrows. Yeah.
Which is true. You do make your own.
And, you know, and it's, you know, I mean, it's not like he made it up. It's sort of like, yeah. So he's just saying, hey, I know you know this already, but I'm just reminding you,
Right.
you know, if you've forgotten, you know.
For sure. Hey, man, I want to thank you very much for your time. Let me tell people where to find you online. First of all, Tom's available if you're looking to hire him for some tracks or any kind of session work, or if you're interested in drum lessons. And the best way to get a hold of him is through his email address, which is Brechtlein, Brechtlein.
No, Brecht.
Oh, sorry. Brecht. I have it written down right. Brechtlein@gmail.com. And also follow him on Facebook, same Tom Brechtlein. And check out his YouTube channel where you can see all the Funk Fridays and all the Rhythm family characters at youtube.com at Tom Brechtlein, Brechtlein. Anything else you want to promote or?
No, it's just thanks for having me, and to you guys out there, thanks for watching.
Right on, man. Hang on one second. We'll wrap up. Thanks so much for your time, Tom. I appreciate it. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your social media channels with your friends. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much to Tom Brechtlein for spending time with us. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, right? Be nice. Have fun. Right. Until next time, peace and love, everybody. I am out. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Tom, is that okay for you?
Yeah, it's great.